And curiously enough, he ended up going to the same oncologist that I went to, that I first talked about. And anyway, he had had the melanoma extracted. They got it all. You know that famous quote, they got it all. And he had gone through for periodic checkups, I think it was every 2 or 3 months for the last 2 years. And then this past August, he found out that it was now in his lungs, stage 4, and in his spine, metastasized. 2-month lifespan. That's it. They didn't know what else to do because they don't treat melanoma with chemotherapy. The only thing that they start looking at using is interleukin, which allegedly works about 5% of the cases. The other 95% it doesn't work at all. So it was a death sentence. And this woman had ended up giving me a call because she, unbeknownst to her, didn't know that I had dealt with this illness, not melanoma, but lymphoma, and was advised by people in the health food store who I know quite well to contact me. And needless to say, she was in a lather of panic. And I really didn't know what else to offer her because I don't know anything about melanoma any more than I knew anything about lymphoma when I first came in contact with this illness through my own experience. And I never really knew anybody that died of melanoma or was even ill with melanoma, other than very, very minute cases, very early cases. But that's one of the things that was intriguing about this case is that it was, considered a home run in terms of that localized condition being removed. Everything was fine for 3 months at a time until 2 years passes on, and then you get, a metastasis of stage 4. So I told her about this hyperimmune milk, and I said, he was now in the hospital. This was now in the fall, I guess. We're talking October into November, I believe we're talking now. And now he's in intensive care. He's going through severe cachexia, wasting disease, given maybe a week or 2 weeks to live in intensive care. So what we did, or what she did, was took my recipe, took the colostrum, made up these smoothies, brought him to the hospital, the oncology ward, and her husband started drinking this stuff. And within a week, he's sitting up, drinking almost a liter a day of this hyperimmune milk. My milk, not his, my own. And next thing you know, the skin is clearing up, his weight losses are stopping, and he's starting to put weight back on. Remember I said about half the people who die of cancer die of cachexia. Most people who die of cancer die of severe malnutrition at that point. He ended up going home. And even though he was struggling, with, not being fully recovered, he was able to eat most of the time. He was not in a lot of pain until quite recently. Actually, right before I came overseas here is when she was struggling with him having some pain. And we're not sure whether the pain is actually coming from the metastasis or whether it's coming from basically damage that the metastasis had caused and may not even be an issue right now. We don't know. We don't know. But I do know it's March and this man's alive. And I do know that it wasn't just the colostrum when he got home. There was a battery of supplements. The artemisinin was one. He also went on this indole 3-carbinol. And the indole 3-carbinol is a very interesting substance, and I don't know whether this is on this slideshow or not, but it's a substance that's an extract from the cruciferous family. And indole 3-carbinol is a very, very powerful anticarcinogenic compound. And it's been heavily researched, including one component of indole 3-carbinol called DIM, standing for diindole methane, which Louisiana State University had used an extract of for terminally afflicted uterine cancer patients. And with something like 400 or 500 milligrams of that extract a day, they arrested 50% of the terminal patients, which is profound. Now think about that. Think about whether or not a substance like this that has this kind of an effect, 50%, what drug does that? Show me a drug that even comes close to that. So this hyperimmune milk, there's definitely something to it, and I know that's why Ralph Stoley proceeded and persisted in trying to get this product off the ground, and why it's probably as successful it is, because from what I understand, he's selling about $10 million of this annually in Japan and Taiwan every year now. There's got to be something that's going on in terms of rectifying or reconciling, degenerative illnesses. And I know what it did for me. I've seen what colostrum can do for other people. One of the veterinarians that attended the Perth workshop came up to me on break after I talked about this, and he was saying that he had read research papers, medical research papers, about how just straight up raw colostrum affected certain kinds of viral and bacterial illnesses in dogs and puppies in particular. And so he was using it on this very tenacious mouth virus, this cocci-virus that cats get, that's very, very difficult to reconcile because the animals can't eat, so they waste away because there's a lot of sores in the mouth. And the antibiotic treatments, and it's very labor intensive and medically frustrating. And what he found out was just administering, collecting colostrum, freezing it, and then putting it in syringes and administering raw colostrum in the mouth did an amazing amount of work in rectifying these quote-unquote incurable cat illnesses, many of which die because they just waste away also. There's an interesting website if you want to look at this whole raw milk initiative, and again, you can go to realmilk.com